Hey guys, and welcome to another video, and this is an exciting one for me. It's reviewing one of my favorite lines of drivers, and that's going to be Ping. Now Ping have made some of the most forgiving drivers in recent times. Now I'm going to go back to the G410, which was really where my love affair for Ping drivers started, and the reason for that is it's the most forgiving driver on the market at the time. I found anytime I got a student who was struggling trying to find the fairway or even find the sweet spot, the G410 was a great driver. The G410 also introduced this adjustable weight on the back of the driver. However, at the time Ping were using a 16-gram weight, and for that to have a large effect on the ball flight, you had to move that quite a long way between the toe and the heel to get that draw or fade bias. The look of the driver from above, it had the turbulators, it had some clean lines, it looked quick, and coming in at 206-gram head weight, it was a little bit heavier than most drivers on the market. Also, the colorway of the G410 red on black looks great too. And one thing I would say is the G410 had a very nice, reassuring, solid sound to the driver. All in all, very good driver, but the spin tended to be a little bit high. And then along came the Ping G425, which was an upgrade on the G410 in a way that it reduced the spin rate. And by reducing the spin rate, it tended to be a little bit longer. The top of the face also looked a little less busy, but the turbulators are still present. And the colorway changed to black and gray. One thing I would say about the G425 though, they let themselves down with the sound of the driver. Acoustically, when you hit it out the middle, it sounds like you've hit it out the heel. But visually it looks great, it's longer, it may be on paper more forgiving, but really it doesn't seem to play that way. But for most of you, this is the most current Ping driver. And then now we've got the Ping G430, which is a 2023 offering for most of the world. Black and yellow colorway, 25-gram adjustable weight, high MOI, improvement in sound, slightly shallower head, but a 460cc head unlike the 455 in the G410. And I'll let you into a secret very early on in the video. This is likely going to be my driver of the year for those higher handicap golfers. From the top it looks great too, the carbon weave technology in the LST, but I'm today reviewing the Max, and the Plus. But you're here for a showdown of the most forgiving drivers. I've got the simulator on, and I've got a very difficult hole. It reminds me of a lot of the driving holes that you find in Asia. It's tight. I'm going to hit 10 balls with each driver. And I'm going to see how many of these balls find the fairway. Because I've said in my previous video, if my life depended on it, I would use the G430 MAX as my go-to driver to hit it straight. So before I get started, how many times do you think I'll hit this fairway? It's tight. It's a difficult tee shot. Now I'll let you into a secret. I'm not Superman, but this drive's going to go a long way because it's a very elevated tee. So please don't hate on me when these drives may go over 300 yards. But before I start, which one is going to be the winner? Which one's going to be the loser? And out of interest, what driver are you using if you got attracted to this video? Because if you're attracted to this video, I think you'll fall into one of two categories. One, you're a Ping player right now and you're looking to upgrade. Two, you've got a driver that's not very forgiving and you're just wanting to find more fairways. So guys, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. So I've been chatting so much that day has turned to night. Not really, I just dimmed the light so you can see the video a little bit clearer. But I'm going to be using the Tour AD VR6 X Flex, a shaft that would work pretty well for me, and I borrowed from one of my students, Marco. In reality, this is his gamer, so let me try my best not to hit the roof of this driver too many times, but I'm more prone to wearing out the toe. So, to make it fair, I'm going to hit 5 drives, 5 drives, 5 drives, and then I'm going to do it again. So how many times will I hit the fairway? How long will the average drive be? And how many times would I need to knock on somebody's door to ask for my golf ball back? All in all, this is no scientific test. It's just me giving you 30 of my golf shots, putting myself under a tiny bit of pressure, having 0 mulligans, and using the swing that survives 2 rounds per month to give you the best day I can. Don't be too mean in the comments, please. So let's get going. Ping G410, we'll start and then we'll build up, as every test does. Nice looking driver. Good luck, Mike. I've been blinded by the white light that I'm using to make me look younger. Good start. Oh, we'll take that. So the G410, one of the most forgiving drivers I've used. Good way to begin. Maybe a little bit lucky. Hit that quite well. So 2 down the middle. For those that do ask what's my gamer, I'm currently using a tailor-made sim. And I've been using that driver for a while with the weight in the toe because that'd be my bad hit. Okay, that didn't feel bad. You can see I'm Maybe my first lost ball, but definitely my first missed fairway. So, one ball down. Okay, fairway. I didn't like my backswing. So I've lost that one. I hope they're not having a picnic in the back garden. 50 yards offline, the MOI did not save me. Club face a little bit short, swung into out, hit it off the toe. So far, hit it okay, bias towards the toe, that's my game. On the tightest fairway on this golf course, 3 balls okay, 2 balls probably dead. Now onto the Ping G425, and for me, this weren't as much of a Ping driver as the G410. It felt like Ping were trying to appeal a little bit more to the market that were attracted to drivers like the Stealth or the Callaway Rogue because they reduced the amount of backspin, but in doing so they lost some of the characteristics of what made them Ping, and that was the forgiveness. I know it's arguable that this is still a forgiving driver, but from experience of doing many fittings, I found that people who had the G410 found it very difficult to upgrade to the G425. If you came in with no experience of being a Ping player, you could find a G425 driver that would work for you, but you never really tasted what the G410 behaved like. So maybe I sound a little bit bitter, but I just found that the performance was a little less forgiving and a little bit more tailor-made and a little less Ping, but it still didn't perform as low spin as the Stealth or the Rogue ST. Very similar maybe to somewhat of a Titleist performance. More TSR3 than TSR2. Let's give it a go. Again, blinded by the light. Now it does look a little bit cleaner on top. There's not as much going on as the G410. Okay. Lost ball number 1. Or is it? Oh, that's fine. I didn't lose that one. That counts as a almost fairway hit. Who am I kidding? I don't get that look. That was toey. Whoa, fell off that one. So just noticed that I didn't get any data on the last 2 drives, so I've just put some fresh stickers on. Any fitter who uses the club data would know. Okay, better drive, good. It does feel to me this is a bit more draw bias. And I do remember the first time that I reviewed the G425, I felt it was really helping people hit that left side of the fairway compared to the G410. But again, yes, a toe hit again, once again. Unfortunately, you just have watched me hit a little bit off the toe every time. I don't know if it's something about the G425 that makes me do that, but I do tend to be a toe striker with the G425. And now it's time for my potential favorite driver of the year, and maybe next year for those in the US who are going to get this a little bit later, early 2023, but the G430 MAX. Now I did say that if I had to bet on hitting the fairway, I would use this driver, so let me see if I can hold true to that. But the G410 currently is going to take some beating. It looks great. It actually feels like it sits a bit more open. The G425 for me almost wanted to sit a little bit left. Continuing the trend of this toe hit, but not a bad hit. Ball speed a fraction down. Hit that one well, a little bit of a higher launch. You are seeing a lot of balls finish left side of the fairway. On the golf course, I'd typically aim a little bit more right bias on these drives. Come back. So mixing it up a little bit, I've gone back to the G425. So rather than follow the 410, I'm going to go 425, 410, and then we go back to the 430 at the end. If I had this driver, I'd need more insurance for sure. Now, I don't want to make excuses for my poor performance. It's there, it's visible to see. But this driver just sits that little bit more closed. It's very noticeable. If you went from the 425 to the 430, you would notice how open the face is on the 430 compared to this 425. It just wants to sit and point left. I have to almost fight it to open that face up at address. Well, I tested out the forgiveness on that drive, but it's actually worked out pretty well. Okay, that face just sat a little bit open by me having to force that face a little bit open. Oh, and that's a dead one that really just has a knuckleball effect, doesn't stay in the air. That's the one that scares me on the 425. If you've played with me, you know I drive the ball pretty well. It really just shows how much a driver cannot play in your favor, and this is how this driver feels to me. This definitely wants to go left. 425 over, I'm more than happy to take this head off. For anybody who's scared of the right side of the fairway, this driver would definitely help you out a lot. The G425 MAX, I feel, is tuned to help the golfer go left. And I remember when I first tried this, it was also the case. Every shot kept going left. And I know some of this was definitely my technique, a little bit too much into out, a little bit toe contact, sometimes a close face. But I never felt I got that from the G410. So G410 time, I'm back. And I like this one so far. It's performing real well for me. It just sits open, very nice for me as a draw play. It's more open. I think if you're a golfer who is scared of going left, the G410 and the G430 fit better for you. If you want to avoid the right side of the fairway, the G425 will be a better option. This G410 just sounds so much better too. And I say that as my ball goes hurtling into a bunker. The head weight feels a bit lighter as well, but it's not on paper. 206 grams, same as the G425. It just feels a hell of a lot lighter. For those who want to know, if you've got Foresight, you can download this golf course of forms for free. Thank you, Foresight. And this is hole 10 off of the black tees, very tight fairway. A lot of these drives on your average golf course would be okay. Not all of them though. Don't park your car over there. I don't know if I hit one too many that time. I got a little bit carried away, but this is a driver I could just keep hitting. The Ping G410 is one of the best drivers Ping's ever made. The more I think about it, it's actually a battle. What is better, the G410 or the G430? The G425 was a little bit of the stepbrother. It was very different. I think it'd be very much a reflection on yourself if you don't see a difference between the 425 and the 430, because the playing characteristics between the 410 and the 425, or the 430 and the 425, is so different, or at least that's how it feels to me. So final one, 430, it's back, it looks good. I like the alignment on the top. Okay, come on 430, represent the future for the Americans. Okay, good. A little bit high, a little bit toey. Fairway hit. Achievement unlocked. Good. Good drive, and again. Whoa, I'm sneaking in some little push shots. 3 more drives. Come on, Mikey boy. You can do it. Keep finding this fairway, or try and find this fairway. So one thing you probably notice, it looks quite high. It looks like it's got a little bit of backspin on the ball, probably around 2.4 on that shot. 2,200. It's a nice formula for hitting it long. 2,200, it's going to give you some good distance, it's going to be safe, but it depends on your own club head speed. Go get fit. Somebody really slow might need that backspin to make the ball carry longer. I like this driver. I find it very easy not to lose the ball with. So I'm going to put a bit of pressure on myself for this last shot. My YouTube videos are now making a little bit of money, so we can have a giveaway. If I hit the fairway, one person in the comments will be selected and they'll win 1 dozen Pro V1s, or a ball similar to that you play. If I miss the fairway, let's make that 2 dozen. Will likely cost me more than this video will make, but to be in with a chance, comment, like, and subscribe. Let's be fair, we need a golf Mr. Beast. Pressure. And I should make it 3 dozen if I hit the house. But this driver's too good for that, aren't you? G430. Fairway finder. Oh, I think I've done it. It's going to be touch and go, and good bounce, good bounce. Okay, 1 dozen Pro V1s to somebody who comments on this video. And that was a little bit of pressure. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Let's have a look at the data and let's come to some kind of conclusion. There we go. Great sounding golf. So I've hit a lot of drives, 30 drives. That's equivalent to around 2 rounds of golf. And on that, you might look at that, you saw some hook shots in there. I'm not a great golfer, especially when I'm not editing this shot data. But that's me being really honest for you and trying to provide you a real account of how these drivers feel in my hand. Now I'll summarize this really quick before we do look at the numbers. G410, one of the best drivers Ping's ever made. It's brilliant. It's hard to pick a negative on that driver, really it is. It sounds great, it looks good, and it's got a 16-gram adjustable weight that we can move. However, we're around 3 years more advanced now, and the G430 upgrades on that technology and still provides that forgiving head, updated looks, a heavier weight, and they've stuck with their technology, the turbulators, which may be a little bit Marmite, love or hate. And huge credit to Ping, they've kept with the same hosel technology, so you can keep moving that shaft that you may have bought, the premium shaft, into new models. And then you've got the G425, and don't get the wrong impression, that is a very, very, very good driver. Very forgiving, but seems a little bit the odd brother out of the 3. The G425 sits differently, it behaves differently, and it sounds different. Maybe it's adopted, but it doesn't feel part of the same family. But just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. If I had a slicer here, they may benefit hugely from the G425 MAX. However, if you need that draw bias, then maybe you should check out the SFT, straight flight technology, head from Ping instead. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you do, like, comment to be in with a chance of winning some Pro V1s, and subscribe. And maybe you can find more fairways with a Ping driver. But this driver is going to be recommended to a hell of a lot of students this year. So guys, while we look at this data, we look at the shot pattern, you can see the G425 appeared to be the shortest on test. If I'm putting a midpoint on there, it's around that 295 mark, and it definitely seems to be the most left bias. When we start to have a look at the G410, it wasn't all perfect. We've got some red drives here that are over on the left too. The G410, even though it was a very forgiving driver, a little bit less draw bias for me, there was still a wider dispersion overall than when I start to look at the G430. So the G410 was accurate, however, it seemed to be less accurate overall compared to the G430. So looking at the raw data, and that's how I like to start. Here's all the data, and I'll play this very slow time for you, but we can see from the G410, ball speed averaging around 168. We got 168 from the G425 MAX, and we got 168 also from the G430. I did my best to keep this test consistent. I've just seen one error that I made in this test. I actually only hit the G425 MAX 9 times. Please don't make me hit it one more time. But if you're happy with the data, let's go look at what it produced. So when we go into the entire comparison, we can see one thing that really stands out to me is look at the circle here for the yellow one. It's tighter. So the G410 in my testing was an accurate driver, but the dispersion was wider. The 425 seemed to have a more accurate dispersion than the 410. However, it was very left bias. And then we've got the 430 that was just more centered. Now, in terms of the spin, the G430 MAX has found to hit that sweet spot, just under 2,400 RPMs of spin. The G425 MAX came in at the lowest backspin. That's the way it felt to me, but bearing in mind I did have the biggest draw bias on that, which reduces the backspin. And the G410 had the highest backspin. No surprise there. So just have a look at some of the things that stand out to me. Standard deviation. Standard deviation on the G430, 1.7. I got a more consistent ball speed off of that driver. In terms of the launch angle, 1 degree, more consistent standard deviation. In terms of the backspin, it had more backspin than the G425, less backspin than the G410. In terms of the carry dispersion, it was tighter. And in terms of the total distance, it was tighter. All in all, the G430 was a more predictable driver. How can I not recommend that driver to anyone who wants a forgiving, long, and let's say a mid-spin driver?